All right, I'm going to read from the Private Oral Exam Guide. I'm going to be Chapter 5, Cross-Country Flight Planning, page 5-48, number 52. What are the basic VFR weather minimums required for operation of an aircraft into Class B, C, or D, or E airspace? All right, 1,000-foot ceilings and 3 miles visibility, except as provided in 14 CFR 91.157 Special VFR. No persons may operate an aircraft beneath the ceiling under VFR within the lateral boundaries of controlled airspace designated into the surface for an airport when the ceiling is less than 1,000 feet. Take off or land an aircraft or enter the traffic pattern of an airport under VFR within the lateral boundaries of the surface area of Class B, C, D, or E airspace designated for an airport unless ground visibility at that airport is at least 3 statute miles, or if ground visibility is not reported unless flight visibility during landing or takeoff or while operating in the traffic pattern is at least 3 statute miles. So that was what are the basic VFR weather minimums required for operation of an aircraft in a Class B, C, D, E airspace. If VFR flight minimums cannot be maintained, can a VFR flight be made into Class B, C, D, or E airspace? No, with one exception. A special VFR clearance may be obtained from the controlling authority prior to entering the Class B, C, D, E airspace, provided the flight can be made clear of clouds with at least 1 statute mile ground visibility if taking off or landing. If ground visibility is not reported at the airport, the flight visibility must be at least 1 statute mile. 54. Are special VFR clearances always available to pilots in all classes of airspace? A VFR pilot may request and be given a clearance to enter, leave, or operate within most Class D, E surface areas and some Class B, C surface area traffics, permitting and providing such flight will not delay IFR operations. But note, special VFR operations by fixed-wing aircraft are prohibited in some Class B and Class C surface areas due to the volume of IFR traffic. A list of these Class B and Class C surface areas is contained in 14 CFR Part 91. They are also depicted on sectional aeronautical charts. Number 55. If it becomes apparent that a special VFR clearance will be necessary, what facility should the pilot contact in order to obtain one? When a control tower is located within a Class B, C, D surface area, requests for clearances should be made to the tower. In a Class E surface area, a clearance may be obtained from the nearest tower, FSS, or center. 56. Can a special VFR clearance be obtained into or out of Class B, C, D, or E airspace at night? Special VFR operations by fixed-wing aircraft are prohibited between sunset and sunrise unless the pilot is instrument rated and the aircraft is equipped for IFR flight. 57. What is a prohibited area? Prohibited areas contain certain airspace of defined dimensions identified by an area on the surface of the earth within which the flight of an aircraft is prohibited. Such areas are established for security or other reasons associated with the national welfare. 58. What is a restricted area? Restricted areas contain airspace identified by an area on the surface of the earth within which the flight of aircraft, while not wholly prohibited, is subject to restrictions. These areas denote the existence of unusual, often invisible hazards to aircraft such as artillery firing, aerial gunnery, or guided missiles. Penetration of restricted areas without authorization from the using of controlled agency may be extremely hazardous to the aircraft and its occupants. Number 59. Under what conditions, if any, may pilots enter restricted or prohibited areas? No person may operate an aircraft within a restricted area contrary to the restrictions imposed or within a prohibited area unless that person has the permission of the using of the controlling agency. Normally, no operations are permitted within a prohibited area, and prior permission must always be obtained before operating within a restricted area. Number 60. What is a warning area? A warning area is an airspace of defined dimensions extending from 3 nautical miles outward from the coast of the United States containing activity that may be hazardous to non-participating aircraft. The purpose of such an area is to warn non-participating pilots of the potential danger. Warning area may be located over domestic or international waters or both. What is an MOA? A military operating area consists of airspace of defined vertical and lateral limits established for the purpose of separating certain military training activities from IFR traffic. Pilots operating under VFR should exercise extreme caution while flying within an MOA when military activity is being conducted. The activity status, active or inactive, of MOAs may change frequently. Therefore, pilots should contact an FSS within 100 miles of the area to obtain accurate real-time information concerning the MOA hours of operation. Prior to entering an active MOA, pilots should contact the controlling agency for traffic advisories. Number 62. What is an alert area? Alert areas are depicted on aeronautical charts to inform non-participating pilots of areas that may contain a high volume of pilot training or an unusual type of aerial activity. Pilots should be particularly alert when flying in these areas. All activity within an alert area shall be conducted in accordance with regulations without waiver, and pilots of participating aircraft as well as pilots transitioning the area shall be equally responsible for collision avoidance. What are controlled firing areas? Number 63. Controlled firing areas, CFAs, contain activities that, if not conducted in a controlled environment, could be hazardous to non-participating aircraft. The distinguishing feature of the CFA as compared to other special use airspace is that its activities are suspended immediately when spotter aircraft, radar or ground lookout positions indicate an aircraft might be approaching the area. CFAs are not charted. What is a national security area? Number 64. National security areas consist of airspace of defined vertical and lateral dimensions established at locations where there is a requirement for increased security and safety of ground facilities. Pilots are requested to voluntarily avoid flying through depicted NSA, National Security Area. When it is necessary to provide a greater level of security and safety, flight in NSA may be temporarily prohibited by regulation under the provision of 14 CFR 99.7. What is a special flight rules area in SFRA? 65. An SFRA is an area of airspace within special federal aviation regulations apply. Examples include the Washington, D.C. SFRA and the Grand Canyon SFRA. Established operating requirements and procedures to operate within SFRA can be found in 14 CFR Part 93 and on specific chart legends for that area. Always check NOTAMs for possible procedural changes in the SFRA. Where can information on special use airspace be found? Special use airspace except CFAs are charted on IFR or visual charts and include the hours of operations, altitudes, and controlling agency. 67. Where can a pilot find information on VFR flyways, VFR corridors, and Class B airspace transition routes used to transition busy terminal airspace? Information will normally be depicted on the reverse side of VFR terminal area charts, commonly referred to as Class B airspace charts. Number 68. What is an airport advisory area? An airport advisory area is the area within 10 statute miles of an airport where a control tower is not operating, but where an FSS is located. At such locations, the FSS provides advisory service to arriving aircraft. It is not mandatory that pilots participate in the airport advisory program, but it is strongly recommended they do so. What are military training routes? Wow, should we keep going? Yeah, we'll do military training routes. Military training routes are developed for the use by military for the purpose of conducting low-altitude, high-speed training. The routes above 1,500 feet AGL are developed to be flown to the maximum extent possible under IFR. The routes at 1,500 feet AGL and below are generally developed to be flown under VFR. Routes below 1,500 feet AGL use 4-digit identifiers IR 1004, 1004, VR 1008. Routes above 1,500 feet AGL use 3-digit identifiers, IR003, VR004. IR is for IFR routes and VR is for VFR routes. Alright. What is a TRSA? A terminal radar service area consists of airspace surrounding designated airports wherein ATC provides radar vectoring, sequencing, and separation on a full-time basis for all IFR and participating VFR aircraft. Pilots' participation is urged but not mandatory. What class of airspace is a TRSA? TRSAs do not fit into any of the U.S. airspace classes and are not contained in 14 CFR Part 71, nor are there any operating rules in Part 91. The primary airport within the TRSA becomes Class D airspace. The remaining portion of the TRSA overlies other controlled airspace, which is normally Class E airspace beginning at 700 or 1,200 feet and established to transition to from the en route terminal environment. TRSAs will continue to be an airspace area where participating pilots can receive additional radar services which have been redefined as TRSA service. How are TRSA depicted on navigational charts? TRSAs are depicted on VFR sectional and terminal area charts with a solid black line and altitudes for each segment. The Class D portion is charted with a blue segmented line. Terminal radar service area consists of an airspace surrounding designated airports wherein ATC provides radar vectoring, sequencing, and separation on a full-time basis for all IFR and participating VFR traffic. Pilot participation urged but not mandatory. TRSA. Alright, we'll hold off there. That's Chapter 5, Cross-Country Flight Planning. That was 5-52. That was number 72. We'll keep going, 73, 74, I guess, because we're about to go into Section F. Alright, number 73. What are ADIZ, ADIZ, and where are they located? An air defense identification zone is an area of airspace over land or water extending upward from the surface within which the ready identification, location, and the control of the aircraft are required in the interest of national security. ADIZ locations are domestic, located within U.S. along an international boundary; coastal, located over coastal waters of the U.S., distant early warning identification zone, the DWIZ, located over coastal waters of the state of Alaska; land-based ADIZ, located over U.S. metropolitan areas. 74. What requirements must be satisfied prior to operations into, within, or across an ADIZ? Operational requirements for aircraft operation associated with an ADIZ are as follows. Flight plan. An IFR or DVFR flight plan must be filed with the appropriate aeronautical facility. Two-way radio communication. An operating two-way radio is required. A transponder. Aircraft must be equipped with an operable radar beacon transponder having altitude reporting Mode C capabilities. The transponder must be turned on and set to the assigned ATC code. Position reports. For IFR flights, normal position reporting. For DVFR flights, an estimated time of ADIZ penetration must be filed at least 15 minutes prior to entry. Aircraft position tolerances. Over land, a tolerance of plus or minus 5 minutes from the estimated time over a reporting point and within 10 nautical miles from the center line of an intended track over an estimated reporting point. Over water, a tolerance of plus or minus 5 minutes from the estimated time over a reporting point or point of penetration and within 20 nautical miles from center line of an intended track over an estimated reporting point. Yes, we're going to hold off there. Chapter 5, Cross-Country Flight Planning. That was number 74. This is on page 5-53. There was section E. Alright, see you later.